Hi everyone, this is Sharan here. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to see about a tool called Detail and how it has been useful in case of exploratory data analysis. In the last session, we saw how the tool SuiteWiz is very useful. SuiteWiz provides us an extensive analysis about all the attributes, but it is kind of like quite rigid in terms of it doesn't offer us new analysis. It allows us to add few features such as to zoom in, to make the screen, to adjust the screen, to maybe open in a browser or in the notebook. But apart from that, coming to the analysis as such, it doesn't give us any particular flexibility. Like it shows us like what's happening, like how many missing data, how many outliers are present, but it doesn't allow us to make any changes or make any adjustments or make any action on top of it. So now the tool that we are going to see today is called Detail. So this particular tool is very useful in case of exploratory data analysis. The advantage in this particular tool is it not only helps in doing the analysis as such, it also helps us in making the changes, making the adjustments on the row. For example, like if we get a new data set and let's say the attribute names are like quite different, which has like various metadata in it, we want to rename all the columns or some of the columns. It's very easy to do via this tool. Let's say we want to replace a particular code. So let's say in terms of a sensor data, there is a particular error code such as a narrative 1, which means that the data is missing. And let's say we want to change this narrative 1 into some other metric. Or let's say that there could be scenarios where there could be multiple error codes and we want to combine them all into one particular group. So all these kind of like minor adjustment changes to the data set can be done on the floor using this particular tool called Detail. So now we are going to see in the tutorial how to use this particular tool and how to do the analysis and what kind of changes that this particular tool allows us to do. And the other advantage is we can also extract the code. Like whenever we do an analysis, we get an output. So what this tool offers us to export the code. So we can export the code and then just plug it in our data analysis. So it's very useful while doing the exploratory data analysis because it gives us flexibility to extract the script as well as extract the data and maybe make changes on top of it and whatever be the requirement. So since it allows a lot of interaction with the data set and with the analysis, this is like very popular. If you are learning something new here, please give a thumbs up. It helps me in making this video visible to a larger audience. Let's get into the tutorial video and see how to make use of this particular package Detail and do the various analysis, what kind of changes that can be done on the data set. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to install this particular tool. So here I'm using terminal and then I'm going to use pip install Detail. Yeah, so after the tool is installed, then what you need to do is you need to open the Jupyter notebook and this is the day 45. So I'm going to go to the day 45, open the script that will be used for today, and these are all the packages that we are going to use today. So of course Detail, because we are going to see how to use this particular package in order to do the exploratory data analysis. Apart from that, we use pandas and maybe this particular sklearn library is not required because like I was thinking about using the diabetes data set, but I'm not using it because it was not very intuitive. The data set was not very intuitive. So I'm going to import Seaborn. The only purpose I'm using Seaborn here is I'm going to use a data set that is available as part of Seaborn, which is the car crashes data set. So let me import the packages for now. And once we have imported all the packages, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the data set, the car crash data set, and this will be loaded into the data frame here. And this particular data frame, what we are going to do is we are going to pass this particular data frame into the Detail functionality, detail.show, and we are going to open it in a new browser and then see what we can do. So now this is the data set. This is the actual data set that we are working on. So we can see there are 8 columns and 51 records. I guess this should be fine with much larger data set as well. So now these are all the data set that is available, and these are all the columns and these are all the rows. So we are going to see what kind of functionality this offers. So I'm going to click here and you can see that there is an rename functionality, replacement, check how many duplicates, like what kind of like descriptive analysis. So let me use describe, And if you see here for this type, what it tells me the total number of rows, how many data is missing, what are all the top records with their frequency, and what is the distribution as such, like what is the 25th percentile value, 50th, 75th, what is the kurtosis, the maximum value, mean, median, mode, and so on, skewness. So this gives as an complete understanding about all the attributes. So we can click on the different attributes and then we can see how it is. So as you come to the bottom, it shows us the unit values as well as the frequency in the bracket. So here pretty much every value seems to be quite a unit. There are a few which has frequency of 2 and it has outliers. So in this case, in case of speeding, there is no outliers. So maybe let me check out the next attribute and see what's happening. So here when I see alcohol, there are 3 outliers that is being found in this particular attribute. So what I can do is I can click on the apply filter and if I upgrade the grid, so what happens is now we are able to see all the data, all the records which had alcohol value which had a value for alcohol which is an outlier, like the value which is much different from the majority of the values. So I can go back to the old by just closing it off. So this gives us an understanding about these records. So whenever there is an outlier, we want to go and see the actual data, like how the rest of the attributes are behaving. So now it's very easy for us to just filter and then go to those records. So now going back to the old one and going back to the description. So these can be found for all the attributes. We can do an histogram as well to see how they are distributed and then get a frequency of the values, and the number of bins is also editable. So let's say I want to mention it as 10. So now the bins have been changed from 20 to 10. So now we can see the distribution accordingly has altered. So and it gives us a view about like, all the different categories. Moving back to the data, so that there is a variance report as well, and so moving on, checking the duplicates. So this command has helped us in removing all the duplicates. So if in case if you have a data set which has duplicate values and you want to remove all those duplicates, so it can be done. And after doing some of those changes, what can be done is so let's say I want to rename this particular column as total underscore new, and I'm going to update it. Let's see how the replacement works. So let's pick up this particular value. The value is 12.00. Let's say we want to replace the value 12 with 24. So I'm going to go here and going to click on the replacements, and I'm going to make the replacement based on the values here. So search for values 12.00 based on the raw value, replace it with 24.00, and I'm going to click on this plus button to save this and replace. So now this should be replaced. Now going back to the data set, so as you see here, the value 12.00 which was here previously is now replaced with 24. So we are able to rename the columns, replace the particular value with a new value, and we can also like see some kind of do some kind of an analysis at an attribute level to see how many data set is missing. In case of missing or in case of outliers, we can filter those data as such and go directly to the whole data set, and then see how those records are behaving. So coming to the whole data set, like if I click on here, so there are much more functionalities that is available. So there is a custom filter attribute here. So let's say I'm going to use custom filter, and I'm going to say let's say we want to filter speeding, maybe speeding greater than, let's say speeding greater than 9. Okay, custom filter, then I'm going to use speeding. So there is all the example queries here, so which helps us in maybe writing the syntaxes. So I'm going to use apply, and we can see that the speeding greater than 9 is available for only 2 records. So this is very useful for us to do those filtering, do those changes. And let's say we want to create a new column. So I want to create a new column called as maybe new column, and it needs to be a numeric column. It is sum of values for alcohol and speeding. So let's say instead of sum, let me say as multiply, and I'm going to create this new column as alcohol underscore speed. So to see if there is some kind of an increased impact of these two attributes on the data set, and I'm going to create it. So as you see, alcohol speed attribute is being created. So here we are multiplying the values that we did for alcohol as well as speed, and then the new attribute is created. So we are able to do some kind of a feature engineering, like based on the existing data set, we can create new attributes. Next, we can see how the correlation works by clicking on the correlation icon here. So I'm moving on to the correlation. So this gives us a correlation of all the attributes with the other attributes. So we can see the correlation between speed as well as total new is 0.45, like alcohol, and total new is 0.65. And below is a scatter plot, which is between total new as well as the speeding attribute. So let me select maybe this attributes here. So speeding as well as alcohol. So we can see the correlation between those two is 0.57. So let's say I want to export this particular code. So I can copy this. So I can copy this particular code and go back to our window here, and I can create a new cell, and I'm going to just copy it. So after executing it, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call store data. So yeah, so that's it. We are able to see the correlation, like whatever output we were able to see on the screen, we were able to export the code and then do it here. So if there is any insights that are found in the actual data set, we can export the code. We can also take a copy of the charts that is being coming up. Moving on to the other features. So there is an highlighting feature. So highlighting for missing as well as outliers. Let's click on outliers and then see how it is. So here now we can see all the outliers are being highlighted. So this seems to be a very good feature. So instead of going by column, we can just capture all the outliers that is present in all the attributes and then see how those data are behaving. And coming to the other options, we have option to export, right, after making all these changes. So we can export the whole data set, right, the modified data set. And just before exporting that, we can see what is available in the charts. So here in the charts, looks like we can specify the query, the columns that we based on which we want to draw a chart. So I'm going to use total new, and I'm using the alcohol, and then this shows us the trend between these two. So let's say I want to change total new here to speeding. Okay, and then coming down, so now it shows us the comparison between these two. So as the speed increases, like what's happening to the other attribute, and we can simply paste it, like export it as an image, or we can export this data. We can export the code as well, so that we can do much more analysis on top of it. So that's about the various features and functionalities that is offered using detail. So as I have mentioned, so again, detail is also can be like one-point solution for the entire exploratory data analysis. So this gives us quite a bit of flexibility as compared with SweetWiz. And if we want to do some kind of interaction with the data, like replacing or modifying the data set, we can use a detail to make all those changes. The objective here should be we need to like identify what are all the various analysis that needs to be further done. So this is kind of an first step, like level 1 analysis. We can get all the insights, we can note down all the analysis or pointers that are coming up from these analysis. And after this, what we need to do is we need to use our core data science skills, like still specific to the pandas library, visualization library, and other analysis capabilities in order to do a much more deeper analysis about all these attributes. Like in any data science project, about 75 to 80% of time would be spent on the exploratory data analysis. That's because we want to do and complete thorough analysis about the data set, and we need to understand the data set as a whole. So we can use these tools to as a starter to point us in the right directions. And that's it for now. And as I mentioned, exporting is quite easy. We need to just click on the CSV, and what happens is it will be downloaded into your document, into your downloads folder. So you can just go and pick up the modified data set and continue doing the various analysis that you would want to do. That's it for now. If you have learned something new, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Please click on the notification icon to ensure that all my videos reach you on time. Bye for now. See you in the next sessions. Yeah.